And with that, I welcome you into Coach's Corner. It is Monday, May 15th here on the 9 o'clock YouTube.com stream. Either way, I'm your host, Lucas Coach of our as always. We had some sports over the weekend. That's right, we had the two best words in all of sports. Game 7 happened on Sunday between the Philadelphia 76ers and the Boston Celtics. And I'm finally happy to announce that the 76ers and the fraud known as Joel Embiid has finally left the building. And it's hilarious because I don't know if you remember, but one of my first couple shows was talking about the MVP race and how exhausting it was and how Joel Embiid was going to win a pity MVP just because he cried enough to dethrone Jokic. And here we are. It feels like a lot of revisionist history has been written about how people now want to give Jokic the MVP because it seems like the best player on the best team in the West, or the entire playoffs for that matter, has led his team to the conference finals while someone else was huffing and puffing yesterday after scoring 15 points in a elimination game against the Celtics. So, I'm not saying I told you so, but it feels good to be validated about a player and a team that I was so very right on that they weren't that good. They had good stretches. They had a lot of hot hand performances, especially from James Harden in this series against the Celtics, but nothing that was sustainable enough because Joel Embiid cannot last through an entire regular season and playoffs. I mean, I don't know if he just has to maybe miss the first 20 or 30 games and then he can play the rest of the way and be healthy, or if it literally is just the spring weather kind of brings out the worst in his joints and he just collapses. Either way, it's very pathetic and very pitiful for him to just kind of go under the radar as a person to blame all these years because I saw a stat and it was a jarring stat, it really was, about who Joel Embiid has beaten in the playoffs. The list is not impressive, so it is Joel Embiid has won 5 playoff series in his career. The top 4 minutes in on those teams. He beat the Heat in 2018. James Johnson, Goran Dragic, Kelly Olynyk, and Josh Richardson were the top 4 on that team. Beat the Nets in 2019. Joe Harris, D'Angelo Russell, Karis LeVert, Spencer Dinwiddie. The Wizards in 2021. Bradley Beal, Russell Westbrook, Rui Hachimura, Davis Bertans. The Raptors in 2022. Pascal Siakam, OG Anunoby, Fred VanVleet, Gary Trent Jr., and then the Nets this year, Spencer Dinwiddie, Mikal Bridges, Cam Johnson, and Royce O'Neal. Now, I listed off all those players, and I'm curious how many of the listeners and or viewers know any of those names outside of, I guess, the one star per team, which is debatably, I guess, Bradley Beal, Mikal Bridges this past year. Russell Westbrook, I guess, is a pass, but you don't know a lot of those names because those teams weren't very good. They were all in the first round, and none of them were very, I guess, loaded teams with 2 superstars. They had maybe one star, but none of them, I think, can earn the title of a super team or a good team just because he met them all in the first round, because he has never made a conference finals now. And so a conference finals, like, not being able to make that, is age 30 now. And a player that, like I said, not notoriously healthy, heading into his 30th season, like 30th age season. I don't think it gets better here health wise. I think it perhaps gets worse. And so I'm curious how much longer we'll see Joel Embiid in the NBA. Now that I'm like saying it out loud, because for a big man whose body can't hold up in these long marathon seasons and kind of keeps getting knee injuries or nagging stuff, it's like how much longer can your body take this? We saw players like Yao Ming go out pretty early, and he had a Hall of Fame career, obviously, but like big guys, especially of Embiid size, don't last super long in the NBA. And he's already at age 30, and he finally won his MVP. But I don't think he can get better than where he is right now, skill wise and health wise. And so this might be the end of the process. And I think it is the end of the process because we've seen it kind of run its stage. They did all that notorious tanking and were so awful, leading up to like these past couple seasons, and they have nothing to show for it. They have not made a conference finals. They started with Joel Embiid. They got Ben Simmons. They got Markel Fultz. Three first picks, and they have no results to show for them. Nothing. I mean, it is truly appalling for a team that has committed itself to losing and drafting, and now they're just as irrelevant as ever. It is absolutely nuts to see that. And a team that notoriously let Jimmy Butler walk to sign Tobias Harris, I just don't know. I don't know what the fix is here for the Sixers to get any better because they're just in a tricky spot with James Harden probably leaving and Joel Embiid's health is bad and Doc Rivers sucks as a coach. So that's the funny Philadelphia news that I'm so glad to bring you. And I'm not sure if these happened over the weekend, but the Heat ended up beating the Knicks. I think that was kind of a foregone conclusion. It was trending that way. Lakers ended the Warriors. That was I'd say likely result. Once they went up 3-1, it felt pretty dire for the Warriors. And outside of Steph, no one, it felt like, showed up on a consistent basis. Klay Thompson is really a shell of himself, and it's just tough. And so then the Nuggets beat the Suns. They beat the crap out of the Suns, ended their season, and the Suns fired their coach. And that was a big shocker because he had just won Coach of the Year, I think, a couple of years ago. So that happened. It kind of like really kind of is a crazy thing because it's now like Nick Nurse, Mike Budenholzer, Monty Williams, Frank Vogel, all coaches that were recently in the conference finals now just don't have a job. So it quickly changes for certain coaches. And yeah, no, it's a very shocking thing to see happen to some guys that I think are pretty good coaches, but here we are. So we are in conference finals week, I guess. It starts off tomorrow. We have the Nuggets and Lakers. And I was thinking about this over the weekend just because I'm a Nuggets fan. I'm a bandwagon Nuggets fan for. I think they're very fun, first of all, but Jokic is one of my favorite players to watch ever, and so for that reason, I think Nuggets are pretty good. Playing the Lakers, and the Lakers notoriously have a player that I despise in LeBron James and don't like, but I set it aside for just thinking about the series as a whole and the matchup specifically because obviously as a Nuggets bandwagoner, I'm thinking how do they match up in this series because I think that is a big factor obviously in a lot of these type of series. And I knew the Suns were going to be difficult to a degree because of Booker and Durant, but I felt like they matched up really well against their guards specifically, and DeAndre Ayton was not going to guard him, Jokic. So going to the Lakers here, I thought it out and I was like, I guess Jamal Murray, probably Austin Reeves, I guess KCP, Contavious Caldwell-Pope will be on D'Angelo Russell probably because the better wing defender. Michael Porter Jr. is probably headed on whoever they play at the fifth spot there, I guess, if it's going to be Jared Vanderbilt, I'm assuming, for defensive purposes. LeBron is on, Aaron Gordon is on LeBron because Aaron Gordon just did a pretty good job on Kevin Durant, and LeBron, I won't say it's the same, but he's a bigger guy and he's a little bit slower, so it's it makes sense. He's still really good and could be effective, and so Aaron Gordon's probably their best defender. And then Anthony Davis on Jokic is kind of just the de facto matchup, and obviously I think that's the series right there because the Nuggets kind of run through Jokic. I mean, he's the point guard and the center at the same time. It's an insane thing to say, but he runs that offense, and he's the best player all around in on offense in basketball. And then Anthony Davis is perhaps the most versatile defender in all of the NBA with how he can defend the rim, how he can kind of be out on guys, away from the basket. I think that'll be the matchup that decides the series. And I do think Jokic is up for the challenge. It's just defensively is where I worry because, I mean, he is a big guy. I think that he can play his size to his advantage, but it's not like he's jumping super athletically over to block Anthony Davis or anything like that. So it'll be a very interesting chess match between the two teams and their lineups. I think the Nuggets bench is clearly, I think, an advantage that they might have for just how consistently they've been playing recently. Because the Lakers, I think, kind of they ride the hot hand off the bench, and that's a fine strategy. But consistently is against a team like the Nuggets, who have been, like I said, the best team in the playoffs, I think, so far. Can you ride the hot hand night in, night out from the bench unit, or are they just going to light minutes on fire? Where I think the Nuggets, at least, they're not killing the world or anything, but they have at least the standard I think they normally reach with Bruce Brown specifically off the bench. So if I had to give an official prediction before the series starts, I would say Nuggets in 6, just because I think that although they have their flaws, I just think overall they match up well, and their offense is very overwhelming at times. It's just, can the role players make shots? I think that'll be the big determinant for if this is like either an easy Nuggets series win or if they have to drag it out to a tough game 6 or a game 7. So my final prediction is Nuggets in 6, because like I said, they've been the best team all postseason long. So, and I think they've got a decent amount of rest too. I think that plays into their hand. It plays into Jokic's hand, who's he's died the past couple postseasons because he's had to carry it all. He hasn't had to carry it as much this postseason, and he's gotten the rest. So I think that helps as well. And then we move over on to the Heat and Celtics. The Heat are obviously, I think, the hottest team in the East. They're riding this. I don't know how to call it. It's not even a hot hand like I was describing the Lakers. It's just they're riding this momentum. That's the word. They're riding momentum that they got from the Bucks series right through the Knicks and into the conference finals against the Celtics. And the Celtics have had a hard road. I mean, they won in 6 against the Hawks, but it was a tough 6, and they won in 7 against the Sixers. But for most of it, it was a tough 7. So I don't think the Celtics will be necessarily tired. It's just I think they will. I think they'll be a little bit more aware of, like, hey, the Heat are not going to be some team that we can roll over despite them being a worse team, right? Because I think that the Celtics are just a better overall team talent-wise, but the way that the Heat are playing, I think the Celtics were going into this being like, you know what, we've had a tough couple series. Let's lock in a little bit better. And I think challenges that the Sixers presented with how they had to guard James Harden, I think that plays similarly here with Jimmy Butler, where you're going to have to probably stick to Jimmy Butler a lot harder than you are Bam Adebayo, but you're still going to have to be, on your best behavior as a big man on the Celtics, with Robert Williams and Al Horford defending the different things that Bam can bring to the game that Joel didn't. Because Bam Adebayo is a better athlete than Joel Embiid. He can move better. He's faster, passes better. It's a different skill set, but in the end, they're going to have to probably play it a similar-ish way. And I think the unpredictability of the Heat is really a worry for the Celtics. But like I said, I think that they're going to kind of, not that they haven't been locked in, but they're going to try and, I think, click it a little bit cleaner than they have in the past couple series. The process, I think, will be simpler from how they play, and they won't be playing down to the opponent. They'll be playing at their level, and the Heat will have to play up. So, like I said, it'll be in a kind of a chess match to kind of see both series. Both series, I think, are going to be good. My final prediction for the Heat Celtics is I'll have Celtics in 6. And like I said, it's not me discrediting the Heat. I do think the Heat have performed better than I would have liked them to the past couple series. They've proven me wrong, series after series. But the Celtics, I've kind of maintained. I think they were the best, one or two team in the NBA the entire season. And so, just because they had a couple tough series here, I'm not going to give up on them yet, and I do think they'll get the win here. So that's my early conference finals preview here. Some very, very good basketball I think we've gotten. And I know the Game 7 was a blowout, and as a guy that was against the Sixers, it was fun for me. Probably not fun for the casual fan, but regardless, I thought it was a fun game. So, but that is that. Just going to go big screen here for this one. We do have some news with a certain point guard in Memphis. I think it's time to address him. John Morant, into the camera here. You're not going to be listening to me or seeing this ever, probably. But, buddy, calm down. John Morant has zero chill to him. He can't just go off into the off season and just hang out with his buddies and just make sure that no one is recording, just guys being dudes. He can't do that. He cannot do that. It's very clear and obvious that I don't know. It's a player that has so much in front of him and so much of his life and career to go, and he's no pun intended, he's shooting it all. It's insane. It's insane to see someone actively just sabotage everything that they've worked for. And it's not like he's a player that's coming from I don't even want to make that generalization, but coming from a bad background or the hype was insane or anything. He comes from humble-ish beginnings. He comes from Murray State. He that's not a big school. So Murray State guy gets drafted in the NBA, second overall. So the expectations are there, but he's on a rebuilding Grizzlies team that no one really is kind of paying attention to. And if you just kind of just do your job, just ride the wave, improve each and every season, you get to a point where you'll eventually cash in or cash out. And so he did. He got to that point. He got to the extension. He got the extension, obviously, because he's been killing the league, for the past couple of years now. But then he had the gun incident. This, many other legal issues as well off the court from just acting not like a professional NBA player, but just like a common person that's getting into squabbles with people for playing pickup basketball. And it's dude, the standard is higher now. The standard is much higher for you. You can't be messing around with teenagers playing basketball that you think they fouled you hard or something. You can't be doing that. And then get suspended for the flashing the gun on Instagram Live the first time. And it's that issue with the gun is its whole own thing. But then there's the issue when it comes to doing it again. It's repeat behavior, and it's a repeat behavior in such a small time frame where it's how can anyone defend this? You can't. There's no defending his actions now. Their consequences are going to be coming in probably the next couple weeks, but I mean, if he didn't have any remorse the first time, he kind of claimed he did, then how can you trust him to have it this time and kind of clean it up? The trust is just not there anymore, I think, between Ja and the team and as a responsible face of the franchise. Now, he's still going to be playing at that level because he is super talented. But I think it's going to raise questions about certain situations if he can't. I mean, winning solves everything. Let's be honest here. If he won a championship with the Grizzlies next year, I don't think anyone would care as much about this stuff. but it's the fact that he's not, and it's the fact that he is a super young player and he is a kind of a budding face of the league because the old guard is turning. LeBron, Katie, Chris Paul, I guess. I don't know. James Harden, Russell Westbrook, names that we've known forever are starting to leave. We're getting the new guys with Giannis and Tatum and Luca and Trey and all these guys, and Ja is on that list. Ja is above those guys for some people, and it's as quickly he's earned his fame, he's throwing it all away, and it's crazy to watch in real time. But yeah, I don't know. It's a player that's clearly has something going on mentally that like not in a bad way either. Like not in a he has mental health issues. He needs to fix it. No, it's something much like why are you trying to put yourself in this situation? What's going on with you trying to be, you know, down here playing with guns on the street when you could just be not just playing basketball, but just not doing that stuff, not doing bad things off the court that reflect in who you are as a person. It's a whole moral issue. It's very messy and icky and nasty to talk about, but it happened. So it's tough. It's tough to not talk about it, but regardless, John Morant, just get it together, buddy. So, I also saw Vegas, the Oakland A's finally found something. Like, they finally found a new site, I guess, for like finding a new stadium. So, I mean, if you have not seen what the Oakland A's are doing right now to their fans and everything, that like they're I'm not sure that they're selling more tickets than a majority of AAA teams, and it's insane for an Oakland City, I guess, that has been so loyal to teams like that have left too, and like the Raiders left them, but the Raiders sold out like crazy. The Warriors were in Oakland and they moved as well, but they went crazy in Oracle Arena, and then you get the Oakland A's who, as I said, are struggling to sell out the teams. So sell any tickets, like not even just sell out, just sell any tickets. So Oakland A's, they're in trouble. Georgia, how about them dogs? They landed the number one quarterback recruit in the country, 2024, Dylan Raiola. There's not often times that I'm super thrilled about prospects or like I guess commits like high school kids and stuff because it feels weird like analyzing high school kids for me right now. Like I'm not. It's not like a familiar practice for me where I'm looking up high school film because there are so many different divisions and like so many different levels of play. But Dylan Raiola is a player where I do watch, like I have seen clips and stuff about him, and he does truly look different. It is insane. He has a great arm. He plays in a system that I think is favorable for Georgia, and it's like I think he's going to be a legitimate player for Georgia at some point. If he doesn't do the whole, uncommit, go somewhere else before he actually does end up in Athens, I do think Dylan Raiola will be a big piece of Georgia. So, I think that covers up a majority of the things that I wanted to touch on. A lot of little stuff outside of the conference finals in basketball. The Oilers lost to the Vegas Golden Knights, so that was tough because Connor McDavid, going out early. I'm a very, I would say, admittedly hockey casual, and I'd like to see the really good players in the conference finals, but that's not what we get when Connor McDavid is not in it. But that Vegas still does have some good players regardless. But either way, Game 7 of Seattle and Dallas is going on right now, so probably you'll get that result, after me. But yeah, no. Good stuff. Good stuff for a Monday show. We'll come back Wednesday. We'll have Game 1 in the books for the Nuggets Lakers. We'll see if any of my kind of coaching hat, if any of my adjustment stuff matchup wise. If I'm correct, that'd be pretty cool. But yeah, we'll get that. I'm not sure if we'll get the draft lottery. Draft lottery NBA will be coming out. That'll be exciting to see who gets the Victor Wembanyama. Who wins that sweepstakes? We'll see. We'll maybe talk about that a little bit. But check out, there should be a video coming out as usual on Tuesdays. Been trying to drop those. I think by the time the pod comes out, you'll know the video should be coming out at 1 on Tuesday. But bracket fight, another I guess what is the world of food and drink. That's what we'll categorize it as. A little bit off the rails, but either way, that's for later time. Make sure to check that out. Make sure to like, share, subscribe to the YouTube channel at Coach's Corner. The pod, make sure to share that. Doing all the plug stuff, Lucas, that'll be Coach of ours, the social media handles. So, anyways, I am your host, Lucas Kochevar, as always. And until next time, goodbye.